Amazing moment. Harvey Weinstein, day one of the trial, entering the courthouse, his entire life on the line.
The defendant grabbed her and pushed her onto the bed. He pinned her arms above her head, and despite her verbal and physical attempt to stop him, he continued to hold her down. He inserted his penis into her vagina and raped her. They pushed the trauma down and tried to put on a brave face for the world, each feeling small and insignificant. No match for the power broker in Hollywood Harvey Weinstein had become.
She went through all of these allegations, showed their picture on the screen, and then told the jury that at the end of this case, they will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he's a sexual predator and guilty on all those counts, which he explained to the jury.
And at some point during the course of this trial, you will say, oh my God, Harvey Weinstein is innocent. And what you will see is going to be shocking based upon the opening statement that you just heard. It is going to be shocking. You will see that after complaining witness number one claims Harvey Weinstein sexually assaulted her, she wanted to introduce him to her mother.
He took over the courtroom in a very different way. At one point, he had his fist raised as he would emphasize points. He would have his arm extended to Harvey Weinstein to talk about he's not a predator. It's difficult for him to sit here and listen to him. Listen to her call him this.
You have to describe to the jury the physical actions.
He put his penis inside my vagina, and he had intercourse with me while I was trying to fight. But I could not fight anymore because he had my hands locked. There was not much I could do at that point. My body shut down. And then it was just so disgusting that my body started to shake in a way that was very unusual. I didn't really know what was happening. It was like a seizure or something.
After he left, Miss Sciorra, did you pick up the phone in your apartment?
No.
Did you go downstairs to the doorman?
No, I passed out.
Did you go to the police?
No.
She set up her topic areas question by question, and then we got to the meat of whatever she was trying to reach. And she did it in a way that it wasn't off-putting to anybody sitting in there. It wasn't as if she was trying to attack Annabella Sciorra or corner her somewhere where she had to admit something. It wasn't what we see or what we traditionally would think of on a cross-examination.
This idea that women respond to sexual assault by verbal, screaming, yelling, hitting, punching, biting, although that happens, it's rare. The vast majority of individuals who are sexually assaulted do not report promptly.
She told me that it was, in fact, Harvey Weinstein that raped her. She told me that he showed up at her door and she was confused why he was there, standing there, and that he pushed his way through the door, and she was crying and saying, I tried to fight back. I tried. And then she said that she ended up in the bedroom with her hands pinned over her head and that he raped her, and then he pulled out and...
You just have to say it.
He on her leg and on her nightgown. And I said, oh, the family heirloom. And she was crying and she said yes. And she swore to me never to tell anybody. And I told her that you should go to the police. Please go to the police. And she said, I can't. He's destroying me. He's going to destroy my career.
Objection.
Overruled. This is so important for prosecutors because they don't have any of the forensic evidence, right? So the only way you're gonna get this jury to say, okay, I've got two versions here. Well, why should I believe one version over the other? You gotta bring everything you have. Rosie Perez. I mean, this is someone that I am sure every one of those jurors has recognized today. All right, week one in the books in the Harvey Weinstein case. Back with our think tank. Who had a better week, though? Was it the prosecution or defense? Let's go around the horn. We begin with Stacey Schneider outside the courthouse.
This week goes squarely to the prosecution. This was their case in chief. They put on a witness, Annabella, who created an atmosphere in that courtroom of trauma, of degradation. It was a detailed story. It was emotional. It was raw. The jurors felt it. The audience felt it. And she really got the story out about an alleged violent predator. And just when the defense came in and started to poke teeny tiny holes in that story with the questions about why didn't you call the doorman and why didn't you go to the doctor or why didn't you report it, then the prosecution came back and had Rosie Perez come in and collaborate her friend's story. And it was a very successful, credible testimony from the two women together. Prosecution.
Prosecution. All right, Doug Chenko, Court TV headquarters. Prosecution or defense?
Hands down, this week belonged to the prosecution. 3 little words in their case that I tell you that they have stuck to: sex, money, and power. And they came out swinging, and they didn't fail when they needed to deliver. They had a strong first witness, credible, believable. That jury sat there taking detailed notes because they want to believe what they were told in opening, and they want to see what the state had to back it up. And so far, the state hasn't faltered. That's a big deal because when it came time for cross, they were not nearly as interested. No question in my mind, prosecution won the day this week.
Prosecution. David Schwartz.
No surprises, but of course the prosecution. The prosecution always has a better week the first week. The defense pokes holes, they try to neutralize, but of course it goes to them. All that counts is the verdict. Doesn't matter the first week.
Beth Karras?
Yes, it is the prosecution, but it has to be. It's their case. However, I think the defense put on a good opening statement, and the key witnesses haven't testified yet, so just keep an open mind.
Just in week 1. All right, let's check back in with Chanley Painter, Court TV legal correspondent, with a preview of what's coming up next in the Harvey Weinstein rape trial.
Well, so far the prosecution has called 6 witnesses in its case in chief, and they aren't revealing who they're going to call next. Well, in the week to come, we may hear from the 2 accusers at the heart of the case, the basis for the criminal charges against Harvey Weinstein. That's the 2006 accuser, Mimi Haley, and the 2013 accuser, complaining witness number 1. Well, we also know that there is a potential witness list of up to 80 to 90 witnesses in this case, from investigators and detectives to employees of Harvey Weinstein. The list goes on. And I guess the question is, will we have more celebrities to take the witness stand? Because on that list is Charlize Theron and Salma Hayek. We'll have to find out next week, and Court TV will be here, and we have you covered. Back to you.
All right, Chanley Painter outside the courthouse. What a pleasure. Great job by the think tank tonight. Really appreciate it. Folks, I want to give you a little programming note, okay? Yeah, we're still covering Harvey Weinstein next week. But on Monday, I'm going to sit down for a one-on-one with Jodi Arias' attorney, Kirk Nurmi. I've already got my first question for him. Kirk, are you listening? Did you actually believe Jodi Arias' ridiculous story? The answer on Monday. Have a great night, folks. We're live here in New York City. Have a great night. Don't forget to hug the kids.